Good morning, Taiwan, and thank you for joining us today. I am Louisa Lee here to provide you with the most up-to-date news around the world. 早安，你好，欢迎收看 Louisa 报报，每天给你最新最有趣的新闻。Let's start off today's news. In regard to the stock market in Asia, the shares ended in the red on Tuesday, hitting a 26-month low with concerns and worries over the debt crisis in Greece. 亚洲股市跌到26个月来的新低，主要是因为投资人担心希腊的债务危机会造成全球经济衰退，整个股市充满了不确定感。
Asian stocks dropped to a 26-month low Tuesday amid growing fears that a Greek default could trigger another global recession. Even better than expected U.S. manufacturing data overnight failed to lift Asia's export-oriented stocks. Seoul shares tumbled over 5%, triggering the suspension of program sales on the main Kospi index. Japan's Nikkei fell to a 6-month low, with a sell-off in commodities pushing trading houses lower and the Greek woes pressuring the financial sector. Hong Kong's Hang Seng continued its decline after a 17% fall last month. The benchmark hit 2.5-year lows for a second straight day. Resource stocks like Anhui Conch tumbled, but a mild rebound in mainland property players helped limit greater losses. Barclays' Tom Cornby says uncertainty is ruling the markets.
I think the performance of the markets at the moment, you'd be characterised by one word: uncertainty. And I share that uncertainty as well. I think we're looking for some clarity around the potential policy support that the Europeans may give. We've seen good economic data overnight in the US, completely ignored by the market, and we've seen it selling off a bit. So I would think further declines quite possible, but choppy conditions pretty much a definite.
The massive selling pressures even prompted some authorities in Asia to step in. In Taiwan, state funds are seen stepping in local market to prop up heavyweights, such as the world's top contract chip maker, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing. Uncertainty and choppy conditions strengthened gold, yen, and the dollar on Tuesday. The yen hovered near a 10-year peak against the euro, while investor preference for safer assets pushed gold prices up 1%.
And in related news, the meeting between the EU finance ministers did little to take the worries away. The world stocks tumbled on Tuesday, and the shares of French and German banks fell on European exchanges, with investors fearing that Greece may be getting closer and closer to defaulting on its debt. 同样是因为希腊的债务危机，虽然欧盟有开会讨论，但是还是没有结果，导致法国跟德国的股市星期二也都下跌。
Protesters make themselves at home in the office of Greece's Labour Minister as they continue venting their outrage over looming public sector dismissals and other austerity measures. The markets believe Greece will ultimately default on its debt, despite firm denials from Eurogroup President Jean-Claude Juncker at a meeting of Eurozone ministers in Luxembourg.
We had no one advocating a default for Greece. Everything will be done to avoid that, and it will be avoided. And nobody was advocating an exit of Greece out of the euro area.
It's not just Greeks feeling the pain. European finance ministers are considering making banks take bigger losses on Greek debt after Athens admitted it would miss key deficit targets. Markets received few assurances from the meeting. If anything, it stoked concerns about a Greek default. Reuters banking correspondent Steve Slater says everyone wants to see more action from European policymakers.
At the moment, they seem to be differing on Greece and a lot of other issues and haven't really come up with anything concrete to reassure people on the banks in particular.
The ministers said a vital €8 billion payment to Greece would be delayed until mid-November. Hopes that the European Central Bank might play a role in increasing the clout of the Eurozone bailout fund have also been watered down.
As far as the involvement of the ECB is concerned, I don't think that this will be the main avenue of our considerations.
Investors believe the crisis is now spreading to the banking sector. German Finance Minister Wolfgang Schäuble says Eurozone countries intend to support banks, but that didn't stop European banking shares falling on Tuesday, particularly Franco-Belgian bank Dexia, which plunged as much as 38% due to its heavy exposure to Greek debt.
And now to give you a pleasurable view this morning, check out the footage below, created by a U.S. science teacher by the name of James Drake. Drake put together a 60-second film which illustrates the view of space from the International Space Station by using 600 still images stored in the Johnson Space Center's photography database. Starting with a cloud-covered northern Pacific Ocean, the film takes the viewers to witness the skies above North and South America. Lightning storm flashes can also be seen over the Pacific. The spectacular film ends with a flash of light before entering daylight near Antarctica. To the world of entertainment. Believe it or not, the music from the Phantom of the Opera has been ringing in our ears for the past 25 years. The original cast of the longest-running musical in Broadway history is now brought together to celebrate the success of the show, which has been played in 149 cities and 25 countries around the world. 音乐剧歌剧魅影已经上演25年了。日前，他们在音乐厅举行了一场庆祝演唱会，邀请之前的女主角 Sarah Brightman 和其他演员一起飙歌，让台下的 fans 听着非常过瘾。
25 years on, and a reunion for the surviving members of the original cast of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera. The first Phantom, Michael Crawford, and the woman the composer once described as his angel of music, his former wife Sarah Brightman. She reprised the role of Christine that made her famous in a special anniversary celebration at London's Royal Albert Hall.
That does bring back a whole, flood of emotions. I mean, I've worked with Sarah, since we were married, quite a lot of times, and therefore, in one sense, it's great to have her back singing again, but we have worked together before. But see Michael and Sarah back on stage together, I never thought that would really happen.
The performance to a packed house was broadcast live into selected cinemas across the world. Phantom remains one of the most successful and longest-running musicals, with more than 9,000 performances in London alone. It's also the longest run in Broadway history, with performances before more than 100 million people since it opened in 1986. Producer Cameron McIntosh attributes the success to the timelessness of the music and talent of the actors.
When you get truly great artists doing it, it's fresh as ever. And it takes on a new life. But of course we wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for the fact that Michael and Sarah gave us an amazing performance when we first opened.
And of course, a quarter of a century on, it was also a chance for Sarah Brightman to revisit the most famous high note in musical theatre.
And U.S. pop group The Black Eyed Peas is rocking the stage for a good cause. Their latest showcase, Concert for NYC, marks the largest ever held on the great lawn of the city's Central Park, which collected millions of dollars for disadvantaged New Yorkers. 黑眼豆豆最近为公益举办免费的演唱会，目的是要为生活困苦的纽约人募款，希望大家能够帮助他们。 nearly 60,000 fans were lucky enough to witness a free concert by the Black Eyed Peas in New York City's Central Park, which is organized to help raise funds for the Robin Hood Foundation. Music lovers were encouraged throughout the gig to contribute via text messages, with all proceeds going to New Yorkers who are living in poverty.
It's my biggest wish.
Through the power of the chart-topping stars, millions of dollars have been given so far to support the future openings of the 3 Peapod Academies in New York City through the Charity Foundation, which will provide music and artistic education for disadvantaged youths. Now to other news, R&B singer Rihanna's unpredictable styles may be hard to mimic in real life, but nothing is impossible for creators at London's Madame Tussauds, which is long known for its lifelike wax recreations of celebrity icons. 伦敦知名的 Madame Tussauds 蜡像馆为歌手 Rihanna 制作了一个非常逼真的蜡像，光制作费就高达700万元台币。下面就带你来看看到底像不像 Rihanna。
So how come when I reach out my finger, it feels like more than distance between us? In this California keeping, we're 10,000 miles apart. I bet California wishing on you.
Dressed in a sleek black dress, the wax figure of pop star Rihanna has been unveiled at London's Wax Museum, Madame Tussauds, replicating the singer's look when she performed with Matt Cardle last year at the UK X Factor, while featuring her fiery red hair and one of her many tattoos, which stretches from the right side of her stomach to her thigh. According to the PR manager of Madame Tussauds, Liz Edwards, they put a lot of time, effort, and money in completing the statue.
So it takes 3 months to make her Madame Tussauds wax figure. A team of 20 people will work on her, everything from sculpting, moulding, and then the hair and colouring, and the final styling. And she looks quite fantastic. So yeah, it takes a long time and a cost of £150,000.
The model stands alongside performers such as Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, and the late Amy Winehouse in the museum's music zone. Even though Rihanna was not there to see in person, the 23-year-old musician said on Twitter that she hopes she can find some time to see the wax herself while she's in London for a loud tour, which will be held tomorrow at the O2 Arena.